Shattering Glass Chapter 20. I went out with Young a few times. He, dumped that skinny little virgin queen Rana Perry for me. But Young's friends all thought they were such hot stuff. They all acted like Young was slumming with me. Young did too. So I decided, screw him, and I dumped him. I'm sure he tells the story different, but that's the truth. I ditched him. Debbie Mahone. Late that night, I sat in my room flipping the channels on the television, the bright colored images, a kaleidoscope flickering against my unseeing eyes. I thought about Rob and understood why he had to control all of us. A central person in his life had betrayed him. It was a secret we shared, what must have drawn us together. I picked up the leather journal, turned to the first page, reached to my nightstand, and pulled out a pen. I tapped it against the thick parchment, thinking, stalling. I clicked the pen and began to write. He looked at the world through wounded eyes. Anything good was distorted, not unlike the image of a pretty girl in a fun house mirror, and anything bad was made monstrous. I wrote all night, the pen flowing against the paper, the pages filling with Rob's sorrow. As I wrote, I began to understand more, pulling off layer upon layer of past hints, clues to the inner Rob that I hadn't seen. I knew that no matter what, I'd never betray him. Coop had a day off, so we went to the beach to run his dogs. As we jogged, our sneakers slapped against the wet sand. Coop ran, loose and steady, more at ease than I'd seen him in weeks, since he took the ACT. The dogs bounded and splashed, barking at seagulls and running from waves. Coop, you've got to pass on the ACT. Why are you still working out like this? Just because Simon's going to get me an 18 on the test doesn't make me any smarter. I huffed alongside. Is there a connection I've missed here? This is great. I'm explaining something to you. Simon takes the test. I get a scholarship. I still got to go to school. I don't just gotta play ball. I still don't get why we're running. Young, I have to be in such great shape and show so much hustle that the coach won't have any reason to dump me. I have to make it worth his trouble to get me tutors and stuff. Keep me eligible. Make sense? I said, sounding as wheezy as Simon. Can we slow down? One of the dogs fainted. Coop laughed, big and full-chested, happy. Sure, I'll run again later. I still need to trim off a couple of pounds. He patted a stomach that looked like granite. Dropping the gait to a walk, I asked, Doesn't Simon work out with you anymore? Coop stopped and raked his fingers through his hair. The wind pushed it forward over his eyebrows. His wide-open face was flushed and shining with good health. But he caught his bottom lip between his teeth, and his eyes darkened with trouble. I don't know what to think about Simon. First, I feel one way, but then something sort of sours around the edges. Like that green junk that grows on cheese. Yeah, I agreed. I looked out at the waves hammering into the shore. I know what you mean. I feel the same way. He's like a big overgrown sheep. He just lets us run his life, change him. I used to kind of like him when he showed any little lick of gumption or fight, but now I dug in the sand with my shoe. Now I hate it when he does. I guess he can't win with me. Then he goes and hands me a life. Coop interrupted, so deep in his own thoughts. He hadn't heard mine. That's exactly what he's doing by taking the ACT for me. I don't know. I see him gaining that weight, and it's like I see Dad in that chair telling me I'll be just like him. I want to punch Simon out for giving up on his body. But then I remember what he's doing for me. I knew. Glass was my funhouse mirror. December 28th dawned gray and grim. The doorbell pulled me away from a rerun of Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. I loved movies where you knew the good guys really were good, and in the end, the bad guys would get it in the gizzard. I opened the door to see Rob, decked out in a new polo jacket. Didn't think you'd be back this soon. Great jacket. Did you rob a bank? FFO with my grandparents. This was a consolation prize. Can I come in, or do you want to wait until it starts raining? FFO was short for Forced Family Outing. An entry from the Book of Bob. I shut the door and followed Rob into the den. What are you watching? He nodded toward the TV as he unzipped his jacket and sprawled on the couch. I punched the remote control. Old stuff, you'd hate it. Not a high enough body count for you. How was your Christmas? Did you make a haul? He asked. Not like you, obviously. Cranky and Crabby gave me the usual savings bond and combination fruitcake Christmas tree stand. Cranky and Crabby? My grandparents, paternal, sire and dam of Daddy Dearest. So, T. Stewart III inherited his pleasant disposition. To think I'm the only heir to that fabulous gene pool. Forget it. We won't all grow up to be our fathers. I let the conversation sag, not trusting myself. Rob appeared preoccupied and didn't seem to notice my silence. He strained the coffee table, aligning the magazine edges with mathematical precision. When's Rana coming back? Tomorrow afternoon. Do you have a date New Year's Eve? Nothing definite. Why? Because you're going out with Debbie Mahone. I didn't say anything. Stunned, didn't begin to cover how I felt. And what? Rob had the decency to look uncomfortable. You heard. I played dumb. I don't get it, Rob. He leaned forward. Discomfort slid into a kind of regret. You're not going to like this, and neither do I, but it's necessary. He paused, obviously searching for words. Simon has to have a date for the favorites dance. People have to know that he has the date before the voting. I see the point in that, but I don't know what it has to do with me. Young, if you weren't afflicted with a terminal case of cranial rectitis, you'd see that what the rest of B-Vale sees. Glass goes soft-eyed and gooey-voiced every time Rana's name is mentioned. He was wrong and right. Right about Simon having a thing for Rana. Wrong that I didn't see it. I sat for a minute, staring at my feet, trying to find a way to salvage Rana and myself without sacrificing Rob. We can get Glass elected class favorite without Rana. I glanced up at him. Can't we? Rob shook his head. You said that you saw the point. Simon has to be more than the class clown. Set him up with Blair. She'll do it if you ask her. Rana's perfect. Blair is a little out of his league. Glass might date the princess, but he'll never date the queen. Besides, he won't ask anybody out but Rana. I kept my eyes on my feet. Rob, I began. He leaned forward again, earnest and seeking. Come on, Young, do this for me. You're the first friend I made when I came here, and I've always counted on you. It's not like it's permanent for you and Rana, just until the dance. Afterward, Rana's yours for as long as you like. And what about Simon? Rob relaxed back into the couch. Once he's elected class favorite, the game's over. I win. I wanted to say no. Rob waited until I looked up at him. Then he leaned forward again, his elbows on his knees. You've got to help me here. You're my best friend. I know you don't understand why this is so important to me. Just believe me when I say it's a way for me to put things right. In my head, kind of. You can't let me down. Trust me and you can't let me down were the magic words. I swallowed and cleared my throat. Wanted to evaporate. Okay, I said. I'll do it. He put his hand on my knee and squeezed. Thanks. But why so soon? It's only December. End of December. It's only 6 weeks until the dance. You have to cool it with Rana to give Simon a clear path. He's not going to ask Rana to the favorites dance if you're still in the picture. And it's barely enough time for Rana to get the picture that it's over for you two, and she may as well go out with Simon. She won't go. Yes, she will. She'll be nominated for junior class favorite. She'll have to go. I'll make sure no one else asks her. I leaned back and rubbed my face as if washing it. All right. But I'm telling Rana what's going on. I don't want to... I paused, groping. Hurt her. She'll understand. Maybe. Rob pulled his hands from behind his head and rested them on his knees as he sat forward. No, you won't. Young, you won't. His words were measured and mechanical, but his tone almost pitying. Why not? Because we can't take the chance. If she gets pissed because you're passing her off to Glass, it's all over. She's got to believe you've dumped her, and we can't risk that she'll tell Simon that it's a setup. Simon has to believe it too. What did I agree to, and why? What made me do what Rob wanted? Deep in my gut, I knew it was wrong. But I didn't have to betray Rob, and I could still get Rana back. Maybe I could have it all, if I just did what Rob told me to do. Rob went on. This is how it's going to work. Debbie Mahone has got a rep for, he chuckled, being eager to please. You'll go out with her tonight, then Rana will get the news tomorrow. How? Blair will call. Leave a message on her machine. She's got one, right? I thought of the perky voice. Hi, this is Rana. Tell me something I don't know, but wait for the... And the beep would sound. Yeah, she has one. Then she'll call you and ask if it's true. You'll give her the impression that Debbie's offering something that Rana isn't. He leaned back and put his hands behind his head. She hasn't, has she? I mean, you two haven't done the deed, right? I flashed onto a picture of my finger tracing that sleek little back. I wouldn't share this with Rob. I didn't owe him that. No. I struggled with the word. No, we haven't. Great, no problem. Anyway, she'll think you're a keen-sized shit, but Ron's a smart girl. When you come around later, wagging your tail, she'll take you back. With your classy background, she'll know which side her caviar is buttered on. Ron's not like that. Everybody's like that.